All right, music fans, welcome back. Harmless Dave here, talking real music in real time for a few real people just like you and just like me. So, the Little River Band, an album that radio programmers didn't want you to hear back in 1988. And certainly there is no room for a Little River Band forgotten about song, even though LRB continues to rack up all kinds of airplay here in the United States with their classic catalog, Lady, Reminiscing, Cool Change. All of those songs continue to just really stick to these adult contemporary stations that have nothing really good new to add to their playlists. So they continue to reach back. Sometimes they reach back to the 1960s to beef up their playlist because they have nothing new that would go alongside some of these songs that you've heard for the last half century, right? Well, this album here, 1988, it's called Monsoon, Little River Band. Again, on MCA Records, which, if you missed it, we used to call them the Musical Cemetery of America because they really didn't do any promotions. The album shows up. I am the music director at the radio station I was working at. Again, the same routine with MCA Records, like the Dennis DeYoung album I talked about. And there are others that I would receive from that label and scratch my head because I would get no phone call. I would get no, hey, this is the lead single. Why don't you play this one? Well, we picked the first track, which was kind of a rockin' song. It's Cold Out Tonight. That's the name of the song. Now, keep in mind, we're a rock station, and LRB was not considered that kind of band. They were adult contemporary, but that happened a few times. Like Randy Newman showed up with Mark Knopfler at one point and did this amazing song, and we played it, and it got all the way to #1 on the mainstream rock charts. But in the case of Little River Band, if you've got no impetus, you've got nothing behind it promoting it, then it's just going to languish. And it did. I ended up playing it, and nobody called me. But what was really surprising to me was later on, I discovered this song called Love is the Bridge, which is track #3. And it's also a song that was apparently released as a video and may have gotten to MTV or VH1 or one of those video platforms. And the song could be one of the band's best songs ever. The opening, the amazing harmonies as usual. Glenn Shorrock is singing his butt off. And this is another problem that the band had at the time, is that during the 80s, they had a bit of an identity crisis, especially here in the United States. They had, again, racked up a whole bunch of hits right up until about 1982, 1983. And then that well went dry. There was speculation during that time that the record label, which had begun to change its focus and promote other things, really bailed. And this was Capitol, the label that really fostered this band's career for, at that time, probably 7 or 8 years. And they had a string of hits that was unprecedented over the 5-year time frame, hitting the top 10. But then suddenly they fell out of the top 10. I believe the song that ended the streak was a tune called We Too, and that was a shame. But then the band began to change direction. Their sound changed a bit. They brought in John Farnham, and I don't know if that was a good move here in the States. Nobody knew who John Farnham was here. Big celebrity, big star in Australia. So it may have worked down there, but it did not work up here. And the band, I think, released 2 or 3 albums that did absolutely nothing here in the States. When this came out and you heard Glenn singing again, people were like, that's the Little River Band, you know? But, you know, as soon as it came out, it pretty much hit the discount bin. MCA did nothing for it. There are other great songs on this record. Parallel Lines is just superb. Um, let me see here. Soul Searching, Son of a Famous Man. I mean, and even based on your standards of the band from the 70s and 80s, this thing really stands up to that. And it was 1988, so it was only about 5 or 6 years removed from their real hot period on the charts. MCA, again, I think just signed the band, said, hey, we'll see what happens. They released another album called Get Lucky, which I have in my collection as well, which certainly would qualify, again, for one of those albums they don't want you listening to. The sad thing about LRB is Glenn Frey called them the greatest harmony band in the world. And he was on that same record label. You would have thought that Glenn Frey would have been advocating for these guys and just saying, hey, if you're going to play one of my songs, you should really be playing this band because they are fantastic. In fact, I know Glenn Frey and LRB teamed up during that time frame. I know he went to Australia or they came to the States. I can't remember, but there was a concert. I've seen the footage where Frey and LRB are together, and talk about a great backup band for Glenn Frey, huh? So in any event, a missed opportunity and nothing you'll hear on the radio. Go listen to Love is the Bridge, because that is in my top 10 for this band, even though they have a slew of great songs, some of which get airplay every day. If you put that song on the radio now, you would get instant reactions because it's one of those classic songs that you didn't get to hear. So that's my analysis. Monsoon by the Little River Band, one of those albums they just don't want you listening to.